All right, welcome back. Thank you all for sticking around. For those of you who are joining us on YouTube, we appreciate it. And for those of you who are listening, thanks for sticking around after the break. Right now, as we always do, I like to call this the post game. This is the part of the throwback where we actually talk to somebody who had a meaningful impact in the game that we just reviewed. And listen, I had a chance for this one to bring in a guy that was not only a Carolina alum, but also a Southview High School alum, which y'all know I'm going to crib anytime I get a chance to. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to introduce you. He was a freshman on the 92 team that went to the Peach Bowl. He was at Carolina from 92 to 95. He was an absolute freakish streak fast of an athlete on the Southview High School team that won the 1991 State 4A championship. His records right now at UNC as a specialist still stand. He's the fourth best overall kick returner with 2,120 yards in his career, and fifth best punt return average in his career of 27.5 yards. And just last year, the man was inducted into the Fayetteville Sports Club Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, a Southview Tiger at heart, a Carolina Tar Heel by blood, Marcus Wall. Marcus, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. I tell you what, with that introduction, I don't know if it can get any better. I might have to send you a check for that.
Hey, look, I will accept and gladly cash any of those. But yeah, like I told you, man, I got a chance to bring in somebody from my alma mater in here. You know I'm
Yeah,
going to do it. So this is a
free of
win-win
all
for
that,
me.
right?
Yeah, and I think that this is going to carry over into a great conversation to our listeners and our viewers. So let's get right to it. You walk onto campus in 1992, and all of a sudden you guys are going to the Peach Bowl in your freshman year. How does that hit you as a wide-eyed, again, highly touted freshman coming out of Southview, but how did it hit you walking onto, not walking on, but walking into Carolina, having the season you guys did, and then, playing in a big bowl game against an SEC team?
First, excuse the Santa Claus look I got going on because a lot of the seniors at that point would tell you this is probably how I walked in campus looking. They was like, "You look so old when you came to the." But man, it was an experience of a lifetime. I would not trade it for anything in the world. Just the camaraderie of our team, and to go from what was the bottom dweller to a team that's going to a bowl game. And for some years, I don't even remember how long it had been, but it was just fantastic. I don't know if it could have been better for a freshman to come in and experience that.
I feel like it was about since '86, but I don't have that in front of me. So if I'm wrong, I'm sure our listeners will let me know. But, for a guy to have that kind of stage, I mean, you're taking the kickoff back, right? So like you're back there all by your lonesome as a freshman on the biggest stage you could have imagined. How were the nerves?
The thing about it is when you're out there, there are no nerves. You get the butterflies when you're walking out the tunnel. But outside of that, when the whistle blows, the ball's kicked off, they're all gone. It's none of that matters.
Take us through your game prep, and then, like you mentioned, coming out of the tunnel as a freshman on a team that was starting to see some real success. Talk to us about how Marcus felt and at that point you've already had your year behind you, so you weren't really a freshman
Right.
with air quotes around it. But what were you feeling? Talk to us about your game prep. What you guys went through that whole week leading up to the Peach Bowl.
Um, it was actually fun. It was more fun at that point. I think Coach Brown and the staff did a great job of making it fun. There was no pressure involved. The pressure had already been lifted because we made it to a bowl game. We were playing against an SEC team. It wasn't, it wasn't a build-up of pressure put on us. But I have to give, major kudos to the seniors in, our room, the receivers room, because they did a great job of just relieving the pressure from us. Like myself, I didn't really have any pressure. It was just, you do what you do, we'll make everything else happen, So I didn't have much pressure at all, to answer your question.
Which of those upperclassmen do you feel like prepared you the most that season?
Oh man, you have the Corey Holidays, who he's just a straight line guy. He's gonna have the ins and outs of it. He knows it. Then you have your Randall Feltons, who He's different than Corey, total polar opposite, who is very funny, very witty, and, you know, just one of those guys who made it fun, but it was all about being prepared and winning too. You had Julius Reeses, who, you know, that's probably one of the most freakish athletes that I've ever been around as far as a receiver is concerned. Then you had Bucky Brooks there. Like, the room was loaded. It was really, really loaded with guys who helped each other and fought for each other out on the field. So it was pretty easy for me.
So you guys are down 14-0 at the half. Mississippi State had been kind of vanilla. I mean, their first drive was pretty efficient, but they hadn't done anything that really looked like they were going to blow you guys off the field. What was Coach Brown's message at halftime, if you remember any of the insight that he may have given you guys or how he approached it?
I don't even remember the message, probably because, like, I was just focused on making sure I did my job. You know, whatever responsibility I was given at that moment, just to make sure that I did my job. So I'm sure he was just saying, settle down, you know, because normally he's just that upbeat guy. He was just straightforward. Listen, guys, this is where we're at it. He'll tell you the real with it, and then, you know, he'll give us the boost to go. So I don't remember specifically, but if I had to bet, he would just say, hey, we're going to be fine. Settle down. We've already took their best shot. Let's go give them ours.
Yeah. I think one of the things about this game was, and obviously you couldn't tell, I don't know, maybe you could tell the future at that time, but obviously, you know, this was the beginning, and this win, what we talked about earlier in the earlier part of the show, was this was the springboard for Mack Brown edition 1.0 at Carolina. And it would lead you guys, into, especially through the rest of your career, through some really good successes and really building a culture. What can you share with us about that? And did you know at that time that you guys were a part of really building something special at UNC?
I would say yes, because whenever I was, you know, being recruited there, like, Carolina, really, when I first started the whole recruiting process, wasn't even on my radar. It wasn't even close to my radar. But then, you know, just being recruited by them, Terry Lewis was who started the recruitment for me. And once I got to campus and got an opportunity to meet the team, it was just phenomenal. It was truly a family atmosphere, which reminded me of my high school team. And that was the big thing. Like, it was almost identical. The guys bonded. Color didn't matter. Size didn't matter. Position didn't matter. Everybody was for everyone. And it was just that atmosphere that brought me there. Everything was good. And to this day, like, that same family atmosphere we have. So that was it. I could probably say that most importantly, that was the thing that led me to believe that everything would be fine at Carolina.
What was your lasting memory of this Peach Bowl win?
Well, I have two, actually.
Let's hear them both.
The lasting memory was obviously, you know, Natron's major success in running the ball and carrying us through. And Mississippi State was actually intimidated by him throughout the week. Like, really, it was crazy because, like, they would maybe talk junk to me, but they wouldn't say a word to him. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get you. And then he'll be right there. And it's like, wait a minute, you ain't gonna say nothing to him? Like, you know? So
I can't say I blame him, Marcus.
Right. I agree. So that was one thing. And then the other thing was I was blocking and a punt hit me in the game. And Randall Felton was the returner. So, you know, obviously everybody has a call whenever the ball's in the air. If it's falling short, you holler, Peter, everybody runs out the way. Get away from me. Get away. Right? So the ball hits me and we're going off the field. I'm like, yo, did you call Peter? He was like, no, don't worry about it. It's my bad. Cool. Right? So when I get to the sideline, coach comes, you got to get out of the way. You got to get out of the way. So I look at him And he says, I called Peter and walked to the side. And I just was like, what? Then I go sit down beside him. He was like, dog, hey, that's part of the game. You're going to be all right. Don't worry about it.
Just threw the freshman under the bus, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, that's brutal. But again, I guess that's the way the people pull rank inside of a college locker room at that point in time.
For sure. That's for sure. And
You-
not a word has ever been said about it. So, good. We laugh about it when we see each other.
Until now.
That's right.
Mr. Felton, if you hear this, I had nothing to do with the staging of these comments, but I will vouch for their authenticity. You mentioned Natron Means, all right?
Right.
I made some jokes with the guys on the first part of the show. I think the announcer said Natron played that game at about 2:30. Be real. What was his playing weight when you guys started the game on January the 2nd, 1993?
I don't know. I didn't put him on a scale. But I know if they said 2:30, it was probably a favorable scale.
I mean, look, you were actually an amazing running back in high school, so you know about being able to move and shift and change direction and kind of get a guy out of his pants when he's standing there waiting on you. Compare what you know about being a running back to a guy like Natron.
Natron was amazing, man. Listen, I remember playing in my first game, actually playing receiver and getting a chance to block. Mm-hmm. And I know he's coming my way because the play is called to come to my side, and I'm blocking, and I hear, uh-oh, got him. And it's him talking as he's playing. He's done juke somebody out the way, and he's talking.
That's next level.
Yes, amazing. And then just, Natron was just truly amazing. He was a back who could do it all. He was a big guy. He was a fun guy. He was a great guy to be around. And this, again, part of that family atmosphere that Coach Brown helped create.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing so much with us about this specific game. And is there anything else about this game or about your career that you want to leave our listeners and our viewers with before we shut it down for tonight?
My thing would be this. All kids and parents who are involved in recruiting and, choosing schools, I wouldn't look for fame. I would look for family, because football ends one day. And if you don't have a family that can gather you around and be able to talk about the experiences when you go through the highs and lows as athletes do, then you're really out there by yourself. And I can say, for us guys at Carolina who've been there, we're here for each other. Even to this day, and it was 50 billion years ago that I played, I still have ties with those guys. I still have, true family bonds, and it's been great. Even though everybody has their own families, everybody doing their own things, we always at some point seem to get together. We're always, on the group chat, we're doing things. So, we just try to make sure we look out for each other, and it's been great.
And I'm sure that Coach Brown coming back has really, really kind of put another level of heat under that to kind of get that back going. Hey, listen, Marcus, I hope that I get to see you at some games in Keenan this fall. I hope we have football. I hope that, everybody can stay healthy, and I hope to catch up with you at Keenan Stadium sometime this fall. But we're going to put a bow on this episode of the Throwback. I want to give a big shout out to Southview Tiger Crib and Carolina Tar Heel Marcus Wall. I also want to give a shout out to our earlier guests, Buck Sanders and Trey Edge. Shout out to John Siegley producing it and handling all the beautiful work to make this final production what it is. I also want to thank Johnny T-Shirt, JohnnyT-Shirt.com for sponsoring us. Hit them up for your gear. Father's Day is coming up. They can take care of you and get it to you by Father's Day. But guys, I really appreciate it. Appreciate everybody listening. Hit us with a review or a rating on iTunes or Google Play or wherever you pick up this podcast. But yeah, for Marcus Wall, I'm Joey Powell. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.